Hello students. So we are dealing with unit 3 around a medicinal creeper. So we have heard about the author telling us how Mara spinned imaginary stories which were very difficult to believe for anyone. Right? So in the last 2-3 classes we have learnt about Mara and his stories that he had to tell the author. Now we start reading further the same lesson from page number 19, last paragraph. Open your textbooks to page number 19. I am going to start with the last paragraph. Mara did not have any teeth on the right side of his mouth. He had to chew everything on the left side. He was aged and perhaps they had fallen off naturally. But why only one side? I was curious. One day, I asked him how he had come to lose all the teeth only on one side. He told me an interesting story. It seems that they had fallen out long ago and it was not as a result of his advancing age. Once, he laid a trap in the forest to catch rabbits. He was worried that somebody else may get there before him in the morning and take away his catch. So he went to the forest before daybreak. The trap was empty. No rabbit had walked into it. Since there was a stream flowing nearby, Mara decided to brush his teeth and wash his face before trekking back home. When he broke a small stick from a nearby plant to brush a third or a fourth time, he felt a sour taste in the mouth. He thought that there was something wrong with the stick and threw it away. Before he could try another stick, he wanted to rinse his mouth. He took some water from the stream, put it into his mouth, and after churning it around in his mouth, spat it out. Surprise! All the teeth which had been touched by that stick tumbled out of his mouth. Tumbled out means fell out, came out, dropped out from the mouth. Thank God I was saved because I had not brushed all the teeth. Otherwise, I would not have had any teeth left to eat even rice, said Mara. I rebuked him. Hey Mara, if you want to tell lies, they must at least be believable. Mara said, can't you see that I have lost all those teeth? The author then said, then come and show me that plant. How can I show you that plant? There are hundreds of plants in the forest. You can do one thing, sir. You can try brushing your teeth with each of them. Then we can find out which one has this effect. Why should I? You are the one who is lying. So, you have to brush your teeth with all those plants and discover the right one, the author said to Mara. My God, there are so many plants in the forest. I won't live long enough to try each and every one of them. Hey Mara, if you keep trying out different ones, you may find one which is going to make your teeth come back. The author is fully making fun of Mara. How can I say which type of plant I will stumble upon? Just my bad luck if I get one which kills me? Then why are you asking me to try? Because you are the one who is accusing me of lying. Mara said to the author that you are not believing me, so you have to try all the plants brushing your teeth, not me, because you want to find out. Now the author is really angry and making fun of Mara and saying, suppose you come upon the one that will bring back your youth? I don't even want that, said Mara. If I become young, I will have to marry again. Let that be, but don't think that such a plant does not exist in our forest. And he told the author another story. Long ago, Mara and a friend of his laid a trap and caught a barking deer. As they had to divide the meat equally between them, they took it near to the stream, skinned it, cleaned it, and divided the meat. They wrapped their portions in some leaves and brought them home. In Mara's house, they got ready to cook. They prepared the masala with spices, put the water to boil, and opened the packet to take out the meat. And surprise of surprises, oh my god, instead of the meat, there was a live wild buck. Students, you know what is a buck? Buck is the male of a deer. Hmm. So, what was that surprise? As soon as the wife opened the packet of meat which Mara had brought home from the stream, what happened? Instead of the portion of meat, a wild animal called buck jumped, which was alive. It jumped out of the packet and started running here and there and finally ran out of Mara's house. See, surprise of surprises. Instead of the meat, there was a live wild buck. The moment it saw Mara, it jumped up and ran out of his house. When Mara was trying to catch it, as usual, Mara's wife ignorantly took the leaves and threw them into the fire. What does that show us, students? That the wife was least bothered how it happened. How did it happen? How did the portion of meat turn into a live animal? How did the meat become alive? How can it jump out? Even the author was, speechless hearing this story. He was damn surprised hearing this. How could even this be possible? And the wife was least bothered which leaves they were, in what it was wrapped, how did this happen, and she took the leaves and put it into the fire. What does this show? What does this indicate? This indicates that, as we discussed in the previous classes, the forests give us so much of valuable plants, herbs, medicines, etc., but we are least bothered about them. We hardly care to know about them, to care for them, to preserve them. Yes, that is what it shows. She was just, it was anything like waste for her, and she took the leaves and put them into fire. She was not even bothered. She didn't even turn to them and see which kind of leaves they were and how did this happen. That is what the author is trying to tell us by giving us these examples, that sometimes there are so many things available which are very very useful to us, but we least care about them, we least bother about them, we are least bothered, we don't even you know go in detail to study, to know about them and gather knowledge about them. So the medicinal plants that are available in our forests are one such ignored things. That is what the author is telling us. When I heard this story, I was speechless and I did not ask Mara for any elaboration or explanation because this was the height of his inventive genius. You imagine they have killed a buck. They have peeled off its skin, they have cleaned the skin, they have cleaned the meat, they have cut the meat into portions. The friend and Mara have divided that portion of meat, they have wrapped it in a packet and with some leaves and sticks, and brought it home. And when you open that packet, how can that portion of meat be a live animal? How can that even be possible? So to explain this, the author had no patience to hear to Mara's next story. He thought this is the height of Mara's bizarre stories, and I don't want to ask any explanation anymore, any elaboration on this. So he was just quiet. He heard the story and he knew this was all cock and bull story. Things cannot happen like this. So he is saying that it was the height of Mara's inventive genius, thinking power, imagination, how to what extent he could think of Mara. It is no wonder that the white man of Hulihindalu was prepared to give away his entire estate in exchange for these wonder plants. No doubt the plants or the creeper which Mara was talking about definitely had medicinal value. That is why earlier we read that Mara's hand was cut while they were cutting bamboo shoots, and some leaf was pasted on it, and later they took him to the doctor. But when the doctor opened the bandage, he found that there was no wound absolutely. That is why to get knowledge and to know about such type of creeper, the doctor was even ready to give away his whole estate to Mara, isn't it? We learnt it in the previous class. That is what the author is saying here. Now it has been a long time since I sold that estate, and Mara is also dead and gone. After many years now, the author is telling us that Mara is no more now, Mara is dead. And it has been a long time that he sold that estate where he had met Mara and when he had heard all these stories about the creeper. So it's been a long time now. And also, the author says that it is difficult to dismiss all of Mara's stories as bunkum. Bunkum means total nonsense, sheer nonsense, utter nonsense, meaningless. Some little details remains to bother your conscience. So he says that Mara's stories were strange, hard to believe. You cannot say that all this had really happened, but somewhere it makes you to think. A little detail of the plant makes you to think that yes, there are plants which can cure some kind of diseases, some kind of wounds. They can heal the wounds, they can heal the injuries. So these things we can definitely think about. The total disinterest that Mara showed in trying to argue with us or convince us, for that matter, to lie or tell the truth continues to bother us. Mara was least interested as to what is the logic behind these things happening, but he just knew and he narrated incidents to the author that now already we have seen so many stories. He said that the creeper is cursed by a sage, that it will run away. This is one. Then he also said that the cowcal also chews the creeper when the poisonous snakes bite them. See, then he brushed his teeth with some stick and the teeth of from all his right side tumbled out. How can all of a sudden a person's teeth fall out like that, right? So it is difficult to believe, and the height of his bizarre story is that the portion of meat turned into a live animal. So the author says these are all very, you can say, not really happened, or you cannot believe that they are true stories, but somewhere they make you to think. And Mara never argued upon them. He just went on telling incidents to in story after story to the author, because he believed in it, and without thinking the reason behind it, without knowing the logic of science behind it, without knowing the medicinal value behind it, he just went on narrating stories. So, students, we stop this week's class here, and we continue with the same unit in the next class in the next week. Till then, keep reading the lesson again and again. See you in the next week. Bye.